Hello, what is up? This is alertwolf here to bring you another review. And this time, I'm going to bring you a review of Blast of Tempest, episode 19. This one is called The Object of Desire. And alright, this episode was interesting. We got to see the guys kind of work it out. We got to see where Hakuse's head's at. We heard fully Evangeline's plan, and at the end we hear Hakuse's plan to figure some stuff out. Now, this is gonna be cool. Just gonna jump right into it. So, or the next episode's gonna be cool, but basically, this episode was pretty funny. It made me laugh sometimes, you know. Basically, we start off with another battle between the dancing princess and the Mage of Exodus, and they have good fights. And then she hitches a ride with Evangeline and her crew, and quite abruptly. And she's like, I do want to hear your theory. We also get Mahiro and Yoshino are looking for each other, and because it's time for the two best friends to talk it out. You know what I'm saying? But again, these idiots. He's not my best friend. You know, he's my only friend, but he's not my best friend. You know, these idiots. But you know, and basically, I'm always surprised slightly at the intelligence of Mahiro, because he's able to accept things once he accepts them, he accepts them. So basically, they run into each other on the way to the sister's grave, and he's like, you know, Mahiro's like, you know, it's just like Macbeth. We should have figured, you know, the brother of the girl who died and her boyfriend show up, and Mahiro's like. And the whole thing is they were worried about how they're going to approach each other on this question, you know? And, so they talk it out. Mahiro likes fucking with him a little bit on it. And he's like, or not Mahiro, excuse me, Yoshino likes fucking with Mahiro with a little bit about it. And Yoshino's like, well, you know, Mahiro's like, yeah, dude, you can't keep fucking with me. He's like, well, I have expected you to beat my ass, so I'm pretty good. And, you know, they basically explain to each other. He explains what went on with those two and blah blah blah. And he's like, well, who was I to Aika? Nobody, because, you know, this is Mahiro talking. He's like, you know, I wasn't her friend. I wasn't her brother because I never acknowledged her. Acknowledged me as being her brother. I wasn't her lover. It's only now that I realize that I liked Aika. Well, I mean, how pathetic is that? And, you know, I guess she would be. I'm glad she was with somebody like you. So at least, you know, he knows was his best friend. And they talk about things and like, you know, I can't believe you kept it a secret for so long. He goes, yeah, you know, she was really on top of him and that. He goes, not then. He goes, when you two were, after you two were broken up, I'm surprised, or not broken up, after she died. He goes, well, yeah, I managed to make it through. And he goes, well, I know you're not the type of guy to let yourself cry in front of me. But I'm not the type of guy to let myself cry in front of you either. We're similar that way, you know. And who can you cry in front of the ass? And they go back to a flashback with Aika. He's like, and then Mahiro's like, man, I was really in love with that chick. So there you go. Now, as for, and they talk it out. Now, as for the princess, her and Evangeline and the rest of them start talking. And Evangeline explains to her she thinks. And then we get, by the way, the final explanation of Civilization Blaster, which is her theory that the Triogenesis was sent by an alien race to destroy the human race if it ever got to advance. And I'm sure your clan is a testament to that, because or part of that plan, because you guys sacrifice pieces of technology. And she's like, well, that doesn't make sense. What about the tree of Exodus? He goes, and she goes, I think that those are all part of the same machine, because that was sent at the same time too. I don't know all the finer details of how everything works. And she's like, but I think that's how things are going. And I'm on the right track with that. And so there's that whole debate. She's like, well, as the princess, I'm opposed to some of your things. And then they're on the way to the train station. And she's like, well, I do understand the core of it. And Evangeline is glad that the princess hasn't lost her objectivity, even though she's still worried about what a princess in love will do. So she asks her about Yoshino. She's like, how are things going with Yoshino? And she's like, why did you change the subject to that? You know, and then we get, it's funny, everybody gets hit up and informed, or specifically, Simone gets hit up and told that that the two boys reconciled, and I love his reactions. His inner monologue is great. It's like, oh man. He's like, why did these two? Normally these two making up would be a good thing, but I'm freaking terrified. What does this mean for the planet? You know, because he's this poor guy. Every time most two idiots get involved in anything, the fate of the world slightly changes one way to the other. He's just, I love his reaction by it. We also get some knowledge that the Major Exodus is training with June. Hagase says that, and then we pan into, we're back into the apartment, and Hagase and Evangeline are there, and Yoshino and Mahiro there, and Hagase, the princess, she's hugging on Yoshino, and Yoshino's like, listen, you know, he's like, definitely Aika wasn't as soft as you. She was more hard and moany, and Mahiro's like, hey, shut up, that's my sister. And he's like, she goes, oh, well, let's make this you know, they're saying we're making this into a girl's room. She's like, let's make this into our room. And he's like, nah, I don't know about that. And he's like, yeah, you're trying to honor the memory of my sister, huh? He's like, yeah, because if you didn't, I'd really have a reason to punch you. And I mean, that had been a running joke between the two of them. Like, dude, are you gonna hit me? No, I'm not gonna hit you. So that stuff I thought was pretty cool. And that stuff was hilarious. Their banter back and forth. The Major Exodus walking in to see all these idiots fighting each other in a playful way. He's like, I don't even know what's going on here. The poor Major Exodus, this dude is like, whose side am I on? Who's the good guys and who's the bad guys? They're all fucking nuts. I don't know. And you know, we get a talk with Evangeline about how he needs to sorry about that. Anyway, we get a talk with Evangeline about how those two are, you know, explaining the different points of view. Those three are really strong, but they're letting a ghost from the past mess them up. So I don't know if I can fully trust them if they don't see a future. And then and then he asks about the other dudes. And they're like, yeah, but they're looking at the minimal amount of casualties, but they're willing to sacrifice any number of lives to accomplish this. I don't know if they're the right cause. And he's like, well, what are you telling me? She's like, well, you have to figure out what you want to fight for and figure out what's right for you. She goes, the moment you look at somebody else's perspective, they're, you know, things flip-flop on you. And he's like, all right. You know, because he has a job to do. But the thing is, he's weirded out by the fact that the people that are supposed to be his mortal enemies, if you think about it, aren't his mortal enemies and are training him to win. He's like, man, this is all too confusing. You know, none of these guys are my enemies. They're all my friends, sort of. So, you know, I feel his pain. Then we get the princess's plan. And that is, she's trying to figure out a way. She has a plan to figure out who killed Ayaka. And her plan is she's going to time travel back to before she died and find out exactly who done it. Haha, who done it. And that's the name of the next episode, episode 20, which would be Who Done It. And, you know, it's her time traveling back, and we do see the two of them interact. Now, I keep saying this, keep saying that she is the mage of Exodus, Ayaka, the original mage of Exodus. I'm telling you, she's the princess. They're both the princesses of their respective trees. You know, I always wondered how she might have future insight to things. This always seemed like she orchestrated this whole thing. So maybe we'll find out why with interactions with Ayaka. That's all I'm saying. I've been saying this for a while, that who Ayaka really is, and I'm going to keep promoting that theory. But we're going to find out for sure next week, because the princess will know right away if she's standing in front of the princess of Exodus. So that's going to be exciting. Yeah, this episode was very enjoyable. It was very lighthearted, very comical, kind of like slice of life stuff mixed in there. It was very good. I enjoyed it. Next episode, we're going to delve deeper into the mysteries, and it's good to see the boys, you know, reconcile. And it's just funny to me that, again, with a show with no villains, and who's right and who's wrong, and I like this dynamic in this series, and I can't get enough of it. So I really enjoyed this episode. I'm gonna give this episode a 3.5 out of 5. It was very good, but then there was no real action other than the first opening sequences and stuff like that. But it was funny, and it was lighthearted, and it brightened up my day, so to speak. Not that I had a bad day, but you know what I mean. So that's my rating on this episode. So, click it up if you like it, comment if you must, and please, please, please subscribe if you can. And this is Alert Wolf signing off.